Hello, everybody. Mike here once again from Vegan Voices for Change, and today I am with Michelle, and I'm going to let Michelle get started and tell us a little bit about herself. If you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into MMA and how you became vegan, and then we'll get into
Amazing.
questions.
Well, I think that just right now, I'm really lucky because last week or a week and a half ago on February 8th was my birthday.
Oh, happy
And
belated
thankfully,
birthday.
thank you. Thankfully, I've been able to spend it in Mexico. So, obviously, if I was in Canada right now, I would probably have my winter coat on and I wouldn't be wearing a muscle shirt.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so right now I'm kind of transitioning. I'm coming back to Canada, but because I'm an online coach, so I do online training and I help people kind of build muscle and become strong, and obviously doing so on a vegan lifestyle, right? Some people are I'm helping transition, and some people are already there.
Hmm.
So I love what I do. Like I'm really about trying to help others thrive in this world. I mean, obviously, animals are like a big thing for me. Oh, sorry, there's like
A
going by.
plane.
They're not right.
It's
I
all
was not
good.
expecting that. But anyway, so yeah, so I am who I am, and the goal of my life is to try and help people thrive and become the best version of themselves, which is something I thrive to do every day for myself.
Hmm. So, how did you become vegan?
Oh my God, that's a whole other story. So in 2011, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Oh, okay.
I woke up one morning and I fell out of bed. I lost 50% of strength on my right side
Oh,
body,
wow.
and I was like, what is happening? And so after doing a lot of going to the hospital, testing, MRIs, things like that, they were able to tell me that I had acute transverse myelitis, which means that my cervical spine along the neck here was
Hmm.
was attacking. So it's like your
Yeah.
immune system that attacks your nervous system. Uh, and so right there, I started doing researching because I was a fighter. I was fighting at TriStar in Montreal, and by fighter I mean mixed martial artist.
Hmm.
And so I was contemplating how did this happen. And then the more I researched it, the more I realized my lifestyle was horrible then.
Right.
Like beyond getting punched and kicked in the face daily, I was eating shitty foods.
Hmm.
I was not hydrated enough. I was sleeping horribly, like a few hours a night, if anything, going to bed really late past midnight. I had just a Sorry, I'm by. Sorry, I should have known that coming outside would
It's okay.
probably cause some unnecessary noise, but
It's
we'll
okay.
see if we keep this place, because if noise keeps popping up, I might relocate. But yeah, so basically, by 2012, I had done so well. I had a relapse, so I was officially diagnosed with multiple
Hmm.
sclerosis. And I just realized the day that I received the medication, like I was supposed to inject myself with interferon for the rest of my life, I had done enough research to realize, like, wow, it's really about habits,
Hmm.
right? So beyond going vegan, I also went the whole food plant-based way.
Nice.
Like I made it an important thing for me to kind of I went the organic way as well, and I made sure that I ate a lot of amazing foods that help bring my body back into alkalinity. um I was lucky. I was lucky that I stumbled across the research that I needed to,
Yeah.
and Dr. Swank's website, which he had healed himself from MS.
Hmm.
And one of his biggest things was obviously lifestyle habits, but he was talking about reducing saturated fats, like
Okay.
reducing, like for him, it was like, don't eat, red meat, don't eat, things like dairy unless it's skim, blah, blah, blah. And for me, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to eliminate all of this.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I realized that animals were part of this industry, and we were abusing and exploiting them to a whole other level. And so just being in alignment with my core values, because I've always been an animal lover.
Hmm.
So in my mind, it's like I loved animals, but I was still eating them.
Yeah.
So that made me realize that, like, no, I don't even need to eat them. Like I could take care of myself, and I could stop. contributing to the madness in this world and hurting and harming more animals when I could be perfectly healthy and happy and not even have to take medication because I decided to go this route, right? So
Yep.
I consider myself lucky.
Awesome.
That's why I started.
Awesome. Awesome. So with I know that you then continued on, at least from our talking before, with MMA. How different was it fighting on a plant-based diet versus when you were eating meat?
I really didn't understand your question for some reason. Sorry. I
It's
think
okay.
it's just because the volume's not that high. I tried to bring my volume up, and for some reason, I didn't hear that question properly.
So I know in your last MMA fight you were vegan. Did you notice a difference in your training and your recovery versus when you were eating meat?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. So I was really, really lucky because I noticed a huge shift. And I think a lot of people notice that level of shift in your body. I think when you start aligning the way that you feel, like from a heartfelt matter,
Hmm.
in like making sure that you're eating nutritiously and you're hydrating your body. And like there was a lot of things that I changed as well, right? Beyond eating plant based and a whole food vegan diet, I did also start sleeping more. I
Hmm.
started taking vitamin D3, making sure that it was a vegan
Yeah.
brand. I started doing a whole bunch of things that really helped me heal myself. And I think veganism was a really big part of that, right? So it definitely like influenced me to keep going. And once I had my last fight in Australia in 2015, I was fully vegan at that point. And yes, I recovered really quickly, like compared to most, right? For me, it's like something would happen, for example, some level of injury.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, I knew that it would only be a few days rather than like, months or weeks that the doctors are telling me.
Yeah.
So I was lucky on that level, and I did recover much quicker on a vegan diet and on a plant-based lifestyle than I did previously. I used to have all these different things that were popping up in my body, and nothing would really heal that much. And ever since I went vegan, I haven't even had like neck problems and stuff, which is amazing because I had and I haven't had like flare-ups and things like that.
Hmm.
So I'm really really lucky.
Are you relapsing, remitting for your MS? Relapsing,
Yes,
remitting? Okay.
relapsing remitting. And just recently, I've had a little bit of a relapse actually, but I know that it's emotional.
Yeah.
Like I've been through some things in the past few years. And so right now is one of the reasons why I came more into heat. But as you study around MS, like it's actually better if you're more in the cold. So if I go in the pool that's cold here, I feel amazing. Like my legs are not feeling weaker. They're not
Yeah.
feeling. So obviously there are some things that have come up, but I know that that's because of emotions, and I'm solving that right now. So
Awesome. Awesome. So here's a question for you. So do you think is the biggest misconception that fighters have about nutrition?
I think it always comes down. It's mainly the same thing that comes up. It's like, oh, weak vegans, you can't build muscle, blah blah blah, right? And it's really unfortunate. It's the way we've been conditioned. Like people think that they need to eat animal products to be strong and feel alive. And it's actually the opposite. And so it's really unfortunate because I do see one thing that I did see in the gym was a lot of the fighters being sick. And it makes sense. Like if you're going
Yeah.
to eat McDonald's all the time, or you finish your 2 3 hour training and you go to La Belle Province or something, or Hardee's or whatever, like no, of course your body like if we just break it down scientifically, like it's like you want to feed your body nutrient density,
Yeah.
especially if you're constantly putting yourself through shock and stuff, right? So it's unfortunate that there is such a misconception because I think, as you know, there are a lot of athletes out there that are thriving. And even if you look at things like, oh my God, I remember this. So Nate Diaz was
Hmm.
fighting Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor went on like a steak diet, and Nate Diaz is plant based, right? So when they fought against one another, Nate Diaz like destroyed him, and Conor McGregor did blame it on his diet. Obviously, like if you're eating flesh all the time, like that's not going to help you. Like if you think of what the animals are going through, like the animals are going through pain,
Hmm.
suffering every time they're being killed. Like the cortisol levels just rise, and you're consuming that. Like energetically, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I wish more people would see my perspective and understand it and even just give it a chance, you know?
And with that fight, if I'm not mistaken, Connor in the pre-fight meet, Connor actually said to Nate, he's like, I'm a lion, you're a gazelle. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a fight there, and he ended up, shall I say,
Yeah.
eating his own words.
Yes, because the gazelle ate up the lion real quick.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that was good. I'm glad you brought that up. So does with being vegan, I mean, it's obviously changed your mindset about with MS and stuff like that and stuff like that. Do you think it changed your mindset going into your last fight in MMA?
If I think it changed like my performance,
Your
or sorry, for some
mindset,
reason
like
your
how
audio is low.
I'm sorry, I've got to try a different platform, and I found one today that I'm gonna try. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So,
It's just more about like trying to. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying, so I'm just gonna listen a little bit closer.
do you think that you're going into your last fight being plant based changed your mindset? Because I mean, obviously, it's changed your mindset with the MS and fighting, that.
I mean, I was already developing a stronger mindset in
Yeah.
terms of like, but I was mainly plant based too since 2012, right? So it had already been quite some time. The only reason I did some very random exceptions is because I was traveling a lot, and sometimes I found myself, I still had that conditioning of like, oh my God, I need protein, you know? And it's interesting because now I look at people who are thriving on a fruitarian diet because we're mainly meant to eat fruits. And I'm starting to consider that. I'm like, wow, I think because most of my diet right now is organic fruits.
Oh wow.
And so
Okay.
yeah, so I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe I need to just go fully that route. So did it change my mindset? I mean, it definitely helped. It helped, and I thought to myself, no matter what, like I'm taking this home. And so I finished her with a technical knockout, and it was pretty. It was a pretty quick, like not quick fight, but like she really wanted to wrestle me. It was very interesting. She kept holding me on the cage, and I was getting a little aggravated. My coach was like, just don't let her take you there because my striking was better than hers.
Yeah.
And I was able to, the last round, she, again, first thing after I did a bit of striking with her, she brought me to the cage. And I just turned her around and I took her down and I TKO'd her. And I think it's because, like, yeah, a big part of me was like, that's it. Like, I'm going to prove that you could thrive on a
Hmm.
plant-based vegan diet because, it's more than that. It's like helping the animals beyond helping myself too, right?
Yeah. Definitely. So, do you think martial arts and vegan ethics share a common ground?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, like when you're in mixed martial arts, it's like you learn kind of how to fight for your life, right? And I think that unfortunately, that's something that the animals try to do every single day. Like we take so many animals' lives. And if you look at any type of slaughter footage or whatnot, which is horrible. So if you're already
Yeah.
vegan, please don't do it. But if you are not, then definitely look at what these animals go through and make your own decision, right? Because yet again, it's like they fight for their lives. They
Yeah.
don't, no one wants to die, right? No one wants to, like, I mean, okay, maybe a small percentage of people want to die in terms of like suicidal thoughts and stuff like that.
That's
But
another
again, it's like,
story.
yeah, and as humans, we have that decision. Like, we could do what we want because we do have a level of consciousness. So you would think that we would use that consciousness in order to stop harming others. And for some reason, it's been so conditioned inside of us to think that we need to kill other beings to thrive. And that is so far from the truth.
Well, we're not even, and a touch, a little side topic on that. We're killing people all over the world, just not even, humans. We're killing humans and animals. I mean, look at all the wars we're always fighting and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I mean, unfortunately, yeah, there's not enough compassion in this world, in my opinion.
There is not. And I cannot agree with a video that I posted the other day. I know there's a lot of debate around Gary Yourofsky, but he's the one who helped me make a really fully vegan decision because I watched his the best speech you ever heard, and it was
Hmm.
like, wow, like everything he said really drove home. And just recently he came out with a video saying, it's unfortunate because there was a time, just like now, there's a time where we're annihilating others, right?
Yeah.
There was a time where blacks were slaves,
Hmm.
right? They weren't even allowed to go into a restaurant. So it would say like whites only and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And to his point, he said, like, but no one agrees with this, but who do you think was being served? And that's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, no blacks were allowed to go in the restaurant, but they weren't the ones on the plate.
Yeah.
Like the animals are unfortunately like experiencing the biggest holocaust that exists on this planet. Like they're being massacred and slaughtered by the thousands on a daily basis, and they're being served on your plate. So it's like at the end of the day, if you really look at it from a worldly perspective, who are the beings that are being the most oppressed in this world? It's animals. So for me, it's like, wow, like I don't want to be a part of that. I hope you don't either.
In less than a day, more animals are slaughtered for human consumption than the amount of Jews that were killed in the genocide in World War II. It's the numbers are truly staggering.
I
Um,
know. And I mean, people don't like it if I use terms like Holocaust and stuff like that, which I understand. Like, I get it, right? I get it that the conditioning is real.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, we are massacring and taking the life of hundreds of thousands of individuals on a daily basis.
millions actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah,
It,
I agree.
it's funny you bring up Gary because I've been wanting to do podcasts for about a year, and I actually talked to him briefly on Facebook, and I said about that. He's like, "Do it." And I was like, "If Gary's telling me to do this, I'm doing it." And so I started doing podcasts. So it's kind of funny you brought that up.
That's cool.
But
Love
yeah,
it. Love Yeah,
so
I think he's a definite good force for the animals, and it's unfortunate that there's a very big divide happening right now between people that want us to worry about humans and human rights beyond animal. Like I understand both, but the reason I specifically and respectively chose to represent animal rights is because I know they are the most oppressed beings on this planet. And if it, can you imagine in this whole world if we're able to get humans to stop killing animals, we're
yeah.
going to stop killing everyone, right? It's that simple. It's like go to the foundation.
Well, not only that, I mean, having when you're fighting for veganism and that you're helping not only the planet, you're helping the animals, but you are actually fighting for the people. If we stop feeding all the food that we grow to these animals that are just going to be killed, we could feed the world many times over. We could literally have no starving people in the world. There's they build these slaughterhouses in these poor neighborhoods so that people go there to make this good money, and then they're
Yeah.
traumatized by what they're doing and stuff like that. So
For like, yeah.
fighting for the animals here with veganism is actually fighting for human rights too, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Especially like to your point, like slaughterhouse workers, oh my God. They're traumatized on a daily basis, right? I've heard stories. One of my good friends used to actually be a slaughterhouse inspector.
Oh wow.
And the things that he's seen, and that's what made him go vegan, right? He was like, oh my God, like you can't possibly be ingesting that and think that it's okay in any way. Just first of all, for the way it happened, and second of all, energetically. Like it's
Yeah.
like a mix of things, right? It's like, no, just don't do it.
Oh wow. So you're currently in another country volunteering at a sanctuary for several months. What led you to make that commitment?
Okay. I guess you and I haven't spoken in a while.
Uh oh.
So unfortunately, I left the sanctuary
Oh,
because
okay.
I was struggling with different things.
I,
But the
yeah.
reason I didn't make that commitment, and previously as well, because I lived on a sanctuary of over 200 animals for a year in Colorado beforehand, is because obviously, like, I love animals, and I think that surrounding myself with beings that most people take for granted or harm all the
Hmm.
time. I think for me, it just brings a lot of joy into my heart knowing that I could be of service Knowing that I could be of service to whether it be humans, like I'm a coach, right, or
Hmm.
animals, I like to mix a little bit of both and try and just like make the change that I wish to see in this world. I want to be that change, right?
Yeah, lead by example, you know. And we can talk more later off camera about that. I mean, I knew that you were having some stuff going on, but yeah, we didn't get into that, so I won't get into that on here. uh,
I appreciate you.
oh, no problem. Sorry. Here, are there differences in how animal advocacy is approached where you are now compared to where you're from? And if you want to get into where you're from as well initially.
So yeah, so basically, I'm from the Quebec part of Canada. I lived in Montreal for a while. Then I moved to Toronto when I came back from Australia. It's a little complicated, but I did. I do see a huge difference, but at the same time, not really, because I just didn't know that scene in Montreal. So I've been back to Montreal, and I have done certain events like AV, for example, where a lot of people show up. And like I know Natalie, who's one of the leaders, and like Jamie moved from Toronto to go out there, and like the people, the crew in Montreal are absolutely amazing. And so in Toronto and in Montreal, things are a little different compared to Mexico, obviously. Like here, I'm in a non-friendly place. There's non-vegan friendly place. So there's
Yeah.
a few places that will have like vegan options and maybe even a vegan menu, but there's no vegan places around here at all. And you really have to go scouting. Like obviously, if I go to Puerto Vallarta or if I go to San Pancho or Sayulita, then I could find vegan restaurants and stuff like that, which I have been doing
Hmm.
that as well. But I think to myself, like, wow, Bucerias definitely needs more of a vegan scene here, right?
Yeah.
And there are a few, like, I know other vegans that are living here as well. So I know that it could be done. It's just we almost need more of us because the population here, unfortunately, is predominantly Canadians and Canadians who still eat animals and like will proudly talk about it, which
Mm.
which really bothers me, which is one of the reasons why I don't really hang out with these people.
Yeah. Oh, that's understandable. Have you ever felt like you had to choose between your athletic goals and your advocacy for animals?
My advocacy for animals will always be first and foremost. Like I even have for the animals forever and always tattooed down my arm. I even have like a whole tattoo here that shows
Oh.
until every cage is empty. Like I'm very much about like I'm committed. I'm committed. Like I'm never gonna be one of those like I am no longer vegan. Like that's never gonna happen. So for me, the animals come first and foremost, and I just don't agree with what we're doing to them. So I think it's horrible, and I really do want to continue raising awareness on that end because I think that most humans do have a heart and don't want this to happen. They're just not even aware of it, or they don't want to see it. There's like a weird, as we know, cognitive dissonance is real.
Good answer. So here's a question for you that might actually help people that are considering trying activism.
Mhm.
What do you think was harder, the first time you stepped into the cage in an MMA fight, or the first time you went to do like a cube of truth and stepped into that?
I think, oh my God. So the training that I've done in mixed martial arts, like obviously there's like stress levels and cortisol that rises and all
Yeah.
that stuff when you're about and excitement when you're about to go into the cage. But I never doubted my skills in any way. I think though, the first time I went to an event, actually my first event was in 2015 with the Animal Save movement.
Okay.
And it was in Brampton where they take the lives of 500,000 chickens daily.
Yeah.
So just seeing that was a big thing for me because the first time we stopped the truck was actually with Earthling Ed. He came as a visit and all this kind of stuff. He wasn't well known yet. We stopped the truck and then I could hear, like I've always been a cat person. I have cats at home and stuff. We could hear the chickens purring out of fear or out of the love we were giving them. But
Yeah.
regardless, one or the other, I could hear the resemblance, and it really, really got to my heart. Like,
Oh wow.
I cried so much. Oh my God, just thinking of what we do to these poor beings. And it just blows my mind that most people choose to look away. So I think that going to an event for me was harder than fighting, actually, because fighting is like, I don't know, it's a skill set that you develop. But I don't think you're ever ready to see what you're about to see when you do different events, right? There's types of activism that people could choose to do that
Hmm.
would probably not initiate that type of emotion in
Yeah.
terms of like, obviously if you go bear witness and you see like I when Regan Russell was killed at Fearman's Slaughterhouse, I had seen that as well. I had seen her body under the truck, all sorts of crazy things. So, like, at the end of the day, obviously, there's a lot of suffering there around slaughterhouses and
Hmm.
stuff. But you could do different things, right? You could do like a We the Free event. You could do, as you said, like an anonymous for the voiceless. And even then, when I do cubes of truth, I don't even look at the screen. I'll look at it really quickly to know what I'm going to be talking about with the person.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't need to keep inducing trauma. Like, it's
Right.
like, I know I'm not a part of that system. I'm never going to harm beings again. I'm never going to pay for it for someone else to harm them for me. Never again. Like, I can't even imagine the psychological damage. Um, but yeah, so I think that there's all forms of activism that are out there. Like, you could even stay online. You could even do online stuff. There's online campaigns. There's all sorts of things that you can join depending on what it is that you want to do and how you want to be a voice for the voiceless.
Great answer. And I was going to say that too. There's stuff you can do online. You can, promote petitions. You can write to Congress people. You can, share stuff that other people are posting. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up because I was going to say that. Uh, where I had there was a question here. I've got some notes here, but I can't find the one that I really wanted to ask you, and it's killing me now. Uh,
I'd be the type to say something like, shit happens.
it does, and it's all good. So, do you think strong female athletes help change stereotypes about veganism?
I mean, yes. Like, obviously, if you're a strong female athlete that's vegan, there's quite a few out there that are definitely leading by example. And one thing I find is a little unfortunate is I realize that most of the athletes out there don't really talk about it much. And it makes sense because people are so triggered when they hear the word either vegan or like, oh my God, this, like, it gets onto a whole other level, right? The amount of excuses I've heard are always the same excuses on repeat.
Yeah.
So I can see how these athletes are like, you know what? I'm just going to stick to my career and I'm going to live a plant-based lifestyle and a vegan lifestyle in the way that makes sense for me. And I'm not really going to tell people because by telling people, you get lash, right? You get a lashback, right? Like, people will absolutely try to destroy you. So I can see why they would step away from that a little bit, but some of them do, and not necessarily athletes necessarily, but like people like even Billie Eilish and stuff, right?
Hmm.
She just donated like $100.2 million to animal rescues and helping animals thrive, right? So again, it's like there's a lot of forces out there that are leading by example, not necessarily just athletes.
Hmm.
And I think the athletes are afraid because they know they're going to get the backlash. Like, they know that basically if they talk too much about their lifestyle, then all of a sudden they're called pushy and they're called this, they're called that.
Hmm.
But if they were promoting dead animals, that's a whole other story because that's in line with the agenda, right?
Right.
So it's a little bit deceiving, actually.
Going back to Earthling Ed, I had the pleasure of meeting him in Philadelphia. Actually, we were protesting a Pala slaughterhouse, and that was actually the first time that I was involved in a rescue. Uh, well, myself and Earthling Ed and others were protesting. We went into the Hala slaughterhouse and went up to the counter with our signs and were chanting. While we were doing that, a few activists went and opened up cages and took animals out.
Yeah.
There was other people who decided to stay outside because even being in the store and holding up the signs, technically you're an accessory. But somebody actually recorded it with their cell phone, and it made the 11 o'clock news. And it was awesome because they had it on the news and nobody got arrested. And I know somebody that rescued one of the rabbits. They weren't even supposed to take one. They weren't supposed to be one of the people grabbing animals. They went in and got it, and the last I knew, the rabbit was still alive with that person. I won't name their name, obviously, because just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow.
that's and Earthling Ed is very down to earth, no pun intended. But yeah, he's an awesome guy.
I love that you were able to do a rescue like that. I think it's very important. I think that in order, like you said, for things to make the news, for that seed to be planted in a lot of people's minds, I think it's really important because I think that's where it starts. Unfortunately, it can take time for that seed to grow, which is a little annoying, I won't lie. But at least it's there. At least some people are starting to think about it. They're
Hmm.
starting to realize that their actions don't even align with their core values, right? So they need some type of a rectification and to stop hurting animals.
So as for the rescue, I've actually done other rescues. I will be in one of my upcoming books. I'm going to actually get into some of the rescues I've done. I'm not going to name locations or dates or anything like that because of legal reasons, because I did break
Of
the
course.
law in many of them. But actually, I've been kind of dealing with that, and that's a whole nother type of trauma that I've realized it can be because I'm an overthinker. And when I rescued chickens actually from a factory farm, I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I saved a few chickens. All the rest of them are going to die, and I played. You get to live, the rest of you die. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was talking to a friend who's a therapist, and that she's a vegan too, and she was actually saying that I was asking her, I was like, is that like survivors, what is it, survivor's guilt or whatever? She's like, no, it's not like that. She's like, but it can actually be worse, you know. And I was like, yeah. So,
I know the feeling. I've also done chicken rescues, and it's horrible. You save a few, and then the rest of them are left to die, basically, right? Like, it's like, thank God you were able to save a few. That's
yeah.
better than nothing, right? But it's still devastating for us to go into these places and rescue those animals and see all the rest that we have to leave behind. And even for me, it was in Ontario, and it was a farm that was called, free range.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
all know how much of a lie that is.
yeah.
Like, okay, they're free ranging in the space that they have to move with all the other chickens. Like, it makes no sense. But
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I was actually uh, getting ready to do a veal calf here, but like I'm fighting my internal struggle because I know that it's going to devastate me afterwards. Well, why didn't I get two? Why didn't I get three? And so I'm actually now struggling to
Don't
do
do
that.
that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself, Michael. You're going to drive yourself crazy.
I'm
And the
already
last,
crazy.
well, the last thing we need is to lose another animal rights activist. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God. So cute,
Uh,
honestly.
I just think, yeah. We'll talk more later, but yeah. Oh. What would you say to fighters who think that they need meat in their diet to be able to compete?
Can you repeat that, please?
What would you say now to people that are, whether it be an MMA fighter or a boxer or whatever, who feels that they need to eat meat to get their protein to be able to compete with other athletes?
Well, I usually send videos because I do have a lot of friends in there, and they're mainly all like men that think that they absolutely need to eat animals to develop muscle and strength and all that. That's what we've been taught, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's unfortunate, but like the conditioning is real. So for me, obviously, I lead by example, and I will also send a variety of articles or videos to get them to educate themselves. Like, I can't make the decisions for them,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I wish I could, but I can't, and I can't force them. I also wish I could do that, but I also can't. So I try to give them as much information as possible so they can make educated decisions and realize that it's not a necessity and they do not need to be a part of this massacre.
Yeah. So also too, I want to let you know afterwards I'm going to get any links or anything like that for any places you want to share or promote, uh, and we'll put that below so that we can help that out.
Cool. Thank you.
So yeah, no problem. So if someone is watching this right now and wants to go plant-based, but fears it's going to hurt their athletic performance, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, like most of us who've gone vegan, athlete or not, our first thought after a few months or years even is like, man, I wish I would have done this sooner. So I would say today in 2026, you have all of the resources available to you. Like there's no excuse. There is no excuse for animal abuse, and you don't have to be a part of it, and you're gonna feel so much better by not by actually feeding yourself plants and feeling yourself thrive. Because if anything, eating animals is actually a disadvantage for you. So start feeling lighter and better and more in alignment with your core values and stop eating animals.
Awesome. So that pretty much sums it up. Is there anything you else you'd like to add, or anything else, or anything you want to ask me? I can even let you put me on the spot.
Yeah, exactly. I guess what I would add is just that is that it is 2026 now, and there are so many resources available to your fingertips. Like when I first went vegan, doing a Google search was not possible. Now you could use Google, you could use AI, you could use so many things. Like AI will even make you a meal plan, like ChatGPT or whatever.
Yep.
So like at the end of the day, it's like when people are like, "Oh, it's so hard." It is. You know what the hardest part is? It is not going vegan. The hardest part is the resistance and noticing what is happening to others. When you start realizing, like, "Oh my God, I was a part of this problem," and like when you start realizing what we're doing to other beings, I think that's the hardest part. It's not actually going vegan. So please go vegan today. Stop messing around. If you have that thought, it means that you are on the right path.
Yeah, it's I'm 100% with you about that. And it's all about planting seeds. Like there's people that I spoke to for literally over a year before they actually went and took the plunge and went fully plant based. And there's
Yeah.
others that like go right away. There was one place that I was working one time, and I keep certain DVDs in my car, and these two guys came in, and they were regulars, and I was talking to them. They were pretty buff. You could tell that they worked out, and I had a vegan hat on, and they said something about it, and I'm like, well, you should watch some of these shows. So I gave them a DVD to watch, and they actually watched it. About a month later, came back and told me that they'd both gone vegan after watching it, and I'm like, that's awesome, and they realized that they didn't need meat and stuff like that to stay strong. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. You really don't need to be. Actually, it's the opposite almost. Did you Patrick Babouin, right? Like the strongest man on
Yeah.
earth is vegan. So it's like I don't
He
know. Like I don't know why people fight us on it so much. It's like, come on. Like you already know you don't want to be a part of this. So like stop.
Yeah, seeing him pick up like 1,000 pounds and just carry and walk with it is crazy. And I love how actually in Game Changers, the documentary, he actually says that other people say, how can you be as strong as an ox when you don't eat meat? And he
Oxen don't eat meat.
and that is his exact thing. He says I look at him and tell him, when have you ever seen an ox eat meat? Ox eat
Yeah.
plants. I eat plants. He is awesome.
I
So
know. I agree. And it's just, yeah, I really wish people made more sense of it and there wasn't so much cognitive dissonance and there wasn't so much conditioning to make them think that they need flesh. But
yeah.
that's the type of system we grew up in. And unfortunately, the meat and dairy industry are very powerful and have a lot of money to keep brainwashing people, right?
Yep.
So
And they have plenty of lobbyists, that give money to get laws put into place, like the when they put the ag gag laws in the United States and in some states where they made it illegal to farm or to farm to film at a factory farm if you were undercover or go in there and put a camera or whatever, which is
Yeah,
dumb.
they did
So
that in Canada too. They tried to impose Bill 156, but animal justice went in because with what happened with Regan Russell, she was actually there to protest Bill 156,
mhm,
which is exactly that. It's
yeah,
trying to criminalize us for showing the truth, like which is like wild in my mind. But animal justice was able to fight that, and Bill 156 was not passed, which is an ag gag law.
yeah.
But I think they've submitted it recently, so there's going to be a whole thing that's going to
Oh
go
boy.
out.
So
Yeah,
yeah, the Supreme Court here shot it down and said it's unconstitutional. But I mean, the funniest part that I use this to explain to people is that they made it a crime to film people who are lots of times committing a crime. If somebody broke into your house and beat your kids up, would you want it to be a crime for somebody to stop them from doing that? I mean,
yes.
so and people don't realize
So it
how
makes no sense. I agree with you. It makes
yeah.
no sense. Like it's like, really?
And
Like we're
and
criminals?
people
Gross,
and
my
we're
mind.
the extremists. We're the
Yeah,
extremists too. Yet we're the ones that are protecting lives, not taking them.
yeah, exactly.
So, but it was great having you on here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but we'll chat more a little bit if you want.
Well,
And
thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. This was a great chat, and I'm glad I was able to be on your podcast. And I hope I help inspire a few people to make the change. More than a few, but anyway.
I hope so too. One of us needs to, because I'm just sitting here asking questions. So obviously it's on you. So if this doesn't work, I'm blaming you.
That I'll take it. I'll take it.
All right.